Welcome to the 14th rally, Worthy Rally for Hope and Kindness, where we have storytellers come together and really just show their humanness. We have 5 additional unique souls today from very different backgrounds. They're different parts of life, but all have something in common. They're all human and they all have emotions and they all have a heartbeat. And that's what brings us all together. A lot of familiar faces. Thanks so much for coming back. And thanks all of you for spreading the word, because this is just about spreading kindness, giving each other kindness as we go deep and share authentically who we are. As we always do in every single rally, as our speakers, our storytellers tell their stories and really go back to that place of realness. If you can relate to what they're saying, please show a heart, or please go ahead and you can be all modern and do a digital heart. You can do that as well. So if you can relate to what they're saying, or if you feel like they're getting emotional, or going back to that place and need a little extra courage, keep showing them support by showing your hearts, because that's the kindness piece. We're all here to spread kindness and to show that we are in here together and we have more in common than we think. That's one thing that I have learned, is that by telling your stories, you may not realize, or you may not ever realize, that you touched someone in this specific room, or that maybe it's not this specific room. It's something someone heard by coming to this rally, and they um, share it with someone in their group, in their friend group, with their colleagues, and then they feel better and feel more empowered and feel not so alone. So you never know where the words that you say in one place can travel to, and where your presence can touch others. So thank you so much for being here. As always, as I dive into another rally, I can't believe it's number 14. I always don't know what I'm going to say, but today I actually didn't want to say much. It's rather a post that I saw this morning from, if you guys don't know, Daniel Levin, and I got introduced to him through Peter Clark. Peter, great to see you. He is an amazing soul, and I hope to have him one day here in one of these rallies. But he has really touched me, and he he has these wonderful clubhouse rooms, and he's all about the power of silence. And he had a quote this morning on LinkedIn. Look him up, but it's through silence is where you can listen the most. Through silence, it's where you can learn more about other people, whether you know it or not. So really treasure the silence, because there's something magical about it. There's something that's unexplainable about it. For example, if we're going to I want to ask you to remain silent for just a few seconds. I know it's uncomfortable for some of us, including myself, but I'm trying to embrace the silence and just look around all the lovely faces. You may not know these people, you may know some of these people, but no matter what, if you have a conversation with them right now, you get to know each other through words. But how do you get to know each other through silence? How do you get to know each other just by looking at them? Sometimes the eyes tell you all you need to know. I've had a conversation with someone I just met a few days ago. She didn't really know much about me, and just the things that I posted on LinkedIn, social media. And she immediately out of nowhere said, "Andrea, are you sad?" I wasn't sad on the call, but she just looked in my eyes and she said that she felt a lot of sadness. And I'm like, yes, I am sad. Have you been sad for a long time? Yes. And that really touched me, because not only, I mean, what she was paying attention to the words I was saying, but she saw my whole entire being. She saw my soul. And sometimes you don't share that, and you don't want to share that, but sometimes You want people to realize that, and you're tired of wearing the mask, and you're tired of pretending everything's okay. And when someone can really understand you at that level and connects with you at that level, it means the world. So I want you to take just a few seconds and just feel in the room, look around. This is not about judging, but it's seeing if you can connect with these people in some ways. Do their eyes say something? And as we're looking around, just and I know some of your stories and I don't know all of them, but I can assure you, you may not realize it, but there's people in here that have gone through or have anxiety. There are people on here that have tried suicide. There are people on here that have a really powerful presence, very positive all the time, but deep inside their inner child is crying because they've been wounded as they've been growing up. There are people on here that have had many other losses, possibly some recent losses, possibly going through some struggling times right now, issues with their marriage, issues with their children. They may have lost a family member, but they're still here. They're smiling. Some people on here may have gone through abuse, whether physical, verbal, sexual, but you may not ever know that. But if you look at someone's soul, or if you attempt to embrace the humanness in each of us, we shouldn't, we're really quick to judge, but we never will know the real story unless you take time to absorb the silence and listen. And sometimes through silence is when people speak up. This is the clubhouse room I was talking to you about with Daniel Levin. He just has a topic and he just throws the topic out there. And if there's silence and no one wants to speak, there's silence and no one wants to speak. But eventually the silence is so powerful that I even felt it myself, that it like empowers you to speak up. So this is not an advertorial for him, but it just really touched me recently. And it's really touched me how that one person told me how I looked sad and I hadn't even mentioned anything. So let's take a few seconds and embrace this silence. Show kindness to each other, soul to soul, heartbeat to heartbeat. Everyone's gone through something or is going through something. And we feel you right now. They feel you. You have so much to offer. Oh my gosh, I'm like there's a lot. There's a lot. I feel a lot of you. And you are still here. Bless you. And I feel your energy too. Oh, okay. Are we good? How was that? Oh, um, so I had a strong urge to do that today, and I'm glad I did because I received and I felt and I gave. So, without further ado, let's get started. My first storyteller, we connected just as soon as she mentioned that she loves quotes. I mean, that was it. She said she loves quotes and collects quotes, and that was it. If you know me, I'm a quote junkie. She even described herself as a quotes junkie. So that was just heaven right there. I actually met her through Peter Clark's show, and we connected right away, and we had a lot of fun. We just spoke once, but it was a lot of fun. And she's just super fascinating. She is really into a topic that I geek out about. It's a neuroscience, and she's really has a lot of experience in that, speech pathology. And one quote that she said, of course, I had to capture a quote that she said, was the world needs each of us to be us and not a another 2.0 of someone else, which I really loved that one. And something else that she mentioned that touched me was the world is like a kaleidoscope. You need to add your own shade of color. Isn't that beautiful?
Mhm.
So I love how she thinks. I love her sense of humor, and she's just a beautiful person. I feel like I've known her for a while. Elaine, it's such a pleasure for me to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Peter, for introducing us. We had been connected and hadn't ever spoken before, but thank you so much for just giving me the opportunity to be here. I do have to tell everyone this was part of what Andrea and I laughed about. Was I said I'm an introvert, and so one of the ways I got through grad school was I said I need to go first because otherwise I'm going to be multitasking, which bodily function accident I'm going to have. So thank you so much for letting me go first as well. I appreciate that. And everyone else being patient with that. But that's what works for me. So there's my little bit of vulnerability. So brief introduction. Thank you for what you have already said. Just to give a little bit of context to the story that I'm going to share. It does come from my speech pathology career, which was my third career. Any of you who are familiar with me on LinkedIn know that I'm a leadership coach now, and that is my fourth career. So this one, I'm going to reach back a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what is maybe a little bit of an unusual story, but it goes along really actually surprisingly well with what Andrea just so powerfully shared with us. And I'm going to tell you a two-part story, and I don't know the ending to it, but I think we can all relate to it anyway. And that is, as part of my speech pathology work, while I was creating my fourth chapter for myself, I was doing what's called registry. So I would be sent out by a staffing company to various places. And some of the places I might only go once. And I might never go back again. I might go back a year later. It just depended on what the needs were as part of my work. So that's the context into which my two-part story comes. So the first chapter of my story is that I went to a skilled nursing facility, and I was walking down the hall, and out of a room came what should be lovely, beautiful bubbles and happiness and colors. But what instead came rushing out at me was a whole bunch of really colorful language from a gentleman in the room, screaming profanities at me, saying, "You need to get me a drink of water." And this sounds like a perfectly reasonable request, except for that I am a speech pathologist, and most of what I do is work with patients who are having difficulty swallowing. So I can't just rush and give someone water because I might be then the thing that makes them drown. So I said, "Sir, I'm going to have to ask your nurse if that's okay. I'll be right back." He was very, very unhappy with that response, but I disappeared down the hall, not knowing anything about him. Asked the nurse, "Is it okay if I give him some water? Is he not supposed to have anything?" And she said, "No, it's fine." And I could tell by her response that this particular gentleman was perhaps not her favorite patient. So I went back in the room, and this gentleman was in a wheelchair, one of the ones that's specially created for them, where they have a way to get around. It's theirs. It's customized for them. And gave him a drink of water, and just noticed that he didn't have real good use of his limbs, very, very limited movements. And he said, "I'm going out today and I needed some water because it's hot outside." And I said, "Yes, it is." I said, "You should be careful. It is really hot out there." And I said, "I'm sorry again for the delay in bringing you some water. Just understand that I didn't want to do anything to accidentally endanger you." And he very gruffly looked at me and said, "Whatever, you people." And I said, "Sir, again, I apologize and I hope you have a good day." And then he looked at me with a slightly different look in his face and he said, "Thanks." And that was it. And I went on with the rest of my day and I never went back to that facility again. And that's the first chapter. The second chapter starts as I came down the hallway in a hospital that I was working at for the day. And I heard what started to jog my memory as a familiar voice, screaming profanities at a nurse. And I went, I wonder if that's the same person. That would be weird. And I thought, oh dear goodness, he's really making his part of the world a better place today. And so as I passed him, I wasn't for positive. And again, he wasn't my patient. And he said, "Hey." And I turned around and I said, "Yes, sir. What can I do for you?" And he goes, "You're the one who gave me water." And I said, "I think I am." I said, "How are you today?" And he said, "I'm not good. This place is terrible." And blah, 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 blah. Lots of profanity again. And I said to him, I said, being in the hospital isn't fun for anybody. And I said, and I don't know why you're here, but I'm sorry about whatever it is that brought you in. I said, is there something I can do for you today? And he said, "You are the only one that's ever been nice to me." And I said, "Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that I was able to be nice to you." And he started to say a few more things about how terrible the hospital was and everything. And I said, I don't know why you're here. You're not my patient. It's not something I'm allowed to look in your chart to know anything about you at all. I said, but what I do know is the nurses are here to try and help you. And maybe you could say thank you to them like you did to me. I said, because that meant a lot to me, that you were nice to me that day as well. And he said, "Well, my life's been really hard." And I said, "I'm sure it has been." And I said, "And I'm really sorry about that." And I have to tell you, what happened next is something that's extremely out of character for me. And I said, there's a song that's just come to mind. And I'm going to promise you I've been sweating bullets about this next part, but I have to do it for the story. And I started to sing to him. And I said, "One day at a time." And before I could get to the next part, he started crying. And I thought, no, I've broken him. This is just terrible. I don't know what. And he said that was the last song I heard when I was in the military overseas. And then we got sent out. And that's the day that I got hurt. And that's the last thing I remember before I woke up in a hospital room without my legs. And I, of course, thought, oh, great, I've given this guy PTSD again. This is just horrible. And I'm so traumatized. And he said, "Will you pray with me?" He goes, "I don't want to keep living this angry life. And I can promise you, I'm not one given to just stopping in a busy hallway and starting to sing to somebody and then praying with them. But I did, because I felt that that's what I needed to do. Just like what Andrea was talking about, is she felt that need to share. And so I did that with him. And he said, "I'm going to try better. I'm going to try harder. I want to be a good part of our world." And I said, "Sir, I cannot tell you how happy I am to hear that. And thank you for trying." And that's my story. And I do not know what happened to that gentleman. I can only hope that he did honor that to be a part of what's good in our world. But I did want to share that, as sometimes, which is what Andrea said, the silence is what we need to do. It wasn't that I said something to him. It was that I was nice to him. And I will tell you, looking back on that, we're not always given the insight into the ripple effect of what we do for other people. But sometimes we're given that little brief insight into we all can make a difference. And sometimes that's just being us and just showing up. So I just wanted to share that and encourage all of us today to say, you do make a difference, just being you. sometimes through your silence, sometimes through your smiles. So, and because I am, as Andrea said, someone who loves quotes, I did actually look this one up, and then I was devastated to figure out that I couldn't figure out who to attribute it to, because that's always my problem. But my quote is, to the world you may be one person, but to one person you may be the world. And it was attributed to about a jillion people, so I can't say who actually said it. But just to remember, you matter, and you are your own special hue of light. And our world that I choose to view as a beautiful kaleidoscope is better because you're in it. Thank you.
Wow, that is beautiful, Elaine. And I must say, I do have that quote in my book. So that's a really good one. That was beautiful. And wow, the power of how things are meant to be. That's that's incredible. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Elaine? Could you relate? Did it make you? How did it make you feel?
I remember acts of kindness. Honestly, I do.
That's exactly right. That the power of kindness is amazing.
Have you, Elaine? Have you had more moments like that in your life?
I would say the interesting thing about working in hospitals is that you don't often get to know what the end of the story is. You only get to say, in this moment, I'm going to show up as the best person I can be, and recognize I may just be a drop in this person's ocean, but that I try is what matters. So that was an unusual moment that I had a second chapter to a story like that. So it meant a lot to me.
Wow, that's truly beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Elaine. We have Ipek next. Ipek, I've had on my list for a while that I wanted to connect with you. We've never had a one-on-one, but I've been in several conversations and groups with her, one being Humans First. And I just love her heart. She truly speaks with heart, with such compassion, with such caring. And I feel like there's this light that currently always radiates through her in how she speaks and how she poises herself. Um, and it's a powerful light that I'm very, very drawn to. I know Ipek, on you do your own initiatives and you help many, many people relieve stress, and especially the executive assistant type of niche. Um, you've been in that field for a while and you can relate to them, and I so admire that you took up and really focused your efforts on that, to with your empathy and showing that they can truly empower themselves and be radiant. Ipek, I'm so honored to have you here, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for having me as a speaker here. I have attended quite a few of your monthly Hope and Kindness rallies, and I left every event with many insights, feeling grateful for being among all these generous and loving people who brought with them goodness, strength, and some heartwarming, some heartbreaking, but always thought-provoking stories to share. That's why I'm thrilled to be one of the storytellers today. I believe that we all carry a unique book in us, an unwritten, untold, unheard story. I love listening to stories, and who wouldn't love anyway? And I get to share mine today with you. Let me introduce myself to you first. I am originally from Istanbul, Turkey. I got married young, right after college, had a son. Then I started my career again in Istanbul as an executive assistant. I worked with the same top executive, Merhaba Joy, for more than 9 years in a pharmaceuticals company until moving to Ontario, Canada in the summer of 2007 as a family, when I was in my mid-30s. Then I worked as the executive assistant to the presidents of 2 Canadian companies in the pharma and manufacturing sectors for almost 11 years in total. But then I felt the need to make a shift in my life and change my career in 2018. I created my coaching practice, got training, joined many programs, grew my knowledge around coaching that I have been practicing for years in a more professional structure. I am a certified insight coach. I help people to understand the innate potential that they have. I provide them with guidance in connecting the dots. And we find the answers to all questions they have through the insights that come out during our powerful coaching conversations. We unleash that untapped potential together. And in addition to that, I wear multiple other hats. I am an Ikigai coach, Ho'oponopono practitioner. I am program director at Happy Work Environment, a company that helps corporations bring happiness and wellness to the workplace. I also am working on a program that is aiming to help executive assistants with recreating themselves in a professional and personal capacity. I am one of the founding members of the One Golden Nugget community, also a proud contributor of the Biz Catalyst 360 media platform. And last but not least, I am a meditation teacher with the Insight Timer app. My recorded meditations have been played on that platform more than 11,000 times so far in less than 3 months. So that's about me. I wear many hats and I love that, but it was not easy at the beginning. Now I want to tell you a small part of my story, because I had so many things, as you all have. Life brings us so many things to go through. And this is a part of my life. I want to talk about the culture shock I went through when I first came to Canada. The story of being an immigrant. When I left Turkey to come to Canada more than a decade ago, for the first time in my life, I didn't possess a key. I was sitting in the airplane on my way to Canada without a car or a house key, crying my eyes out. I was scared to death, but I was also excited for a brand new life in a brand new country. And I felt like a fish out of water outside the Toronto Pearson Airport while waiting for our landlord to pick us up and take us to the basement apartment that we rented for a month. And we had 1 month time to find a place to live permanently in a country where I haven't been before, where I know nobody. Everything was a struggle at the beginning. Within a month, we had to find a place to live, secure a mortgage for our house, settle down, find a school for our son, buy a car, understand the way life goes in our new neighborhood. I was lucky to get a job quickly through the business connections that the pharmaceuticals company I worked at earlier had in Canada. But when I started to work, I have realized that the level of my English, which I thought was good, was nowhere near enough to communicate well. Only an immigrant can understand what it means to arrive in a country when you don't know anybody, don't have anyone from your family, friends, or any support system. You don't have any idea how to navigate or handle even small daily chores. It might be one of the most challenging changes one might attempt to accomplish. So even the little things that you take for granted at home become things that you have to learn from scratch in a new country. Opening a bank account, buying a car, getting approval for a mortgage, even buying a laptop without any credit history turns out to be a hard thing to accomplish. And we were lucky at least to have a little bit of money, a job arrangement for me, and a place to stay at the beginning. Most people leave their country without any of these luxuries. They have to run while worrying about every single person they left behind. They blend in the society sooner or later, but it is not a walk in the park, especially when they don't speak the language fluently, if at all. Those were really hard days. And 2 years into our life in Canada, my marriage got broken. We got divorced. My husband went back to Turkey, leaving me and my 14 years old son behind. My son and I discussed what we want to do and decided to stay. It was a conscious decision. We were going to make this work. And we survived every adversity we came across. We came out as strong and resilient people. We lost our home, moved many times, had lots of financial and emotional heartaches. But we made it to the shining light that was at the end of the tunnel. We were lucky about one more thing. The country we emigrated to was Canada. And this beautiful country is full of helpful and kind people with big hearts. We had hard times, but never regretted rebuilding our lives in Canada. My son ended up going to university, graduating as a mechanical engineer. And furthermore, this country gave me a loving, caring, supportive husband and an equally great stepfather to my son. Why am I telling this story? Because it is proving that when you have a goal that you are dedicated, decisive about, and committed to, there is no way you cannot accomplish it. Though only if you want it really badly. Brittany Burgunder says, make a promise to yourself that you will always choose growth over safe and dreams over fear. I believe that there is no limit to what you can do when you focus on your strength. And that is precisely why I am an insight coach, because I want others to see that and live the life they can create. If I could create a new life for myself and my son in a new country, anyone could do the same and more. My motto in life has always been, if one person could do this, I can do too. I hope my story gives you inspiration and determination in anything you want to accomplish in your life. I thank you for listening to me, and I would love to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you.
Wow, Ipek, I had no idea. There's so much strength, so much courage, so much passion to live the life that you wanted for you and your son. And I love what you just said. If one person can do this, I can too. That's pretty powerful.
And that has been my life motto since I was a teenager, actually. And I must say I'm proud of myself, what I accomplished so far. And I think everybody can do, just if they can stop seeing the limiting beliefs, letting go and allowing what comes their way.
Well said. And I want everyone to really think about that, because I'm really thinking about it right now. If one person can do it, then you can too. What is that one thing that you have wanted so bad, but you have all these excuses in your head of not doing it? If one person can do it, you can too. I love it. Thank you for that, Ipek.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Ipek? Did anyone relate to her story? I saw such really great comments there. A lot of people looked like they could relate to you.
I just have like super big hugs for you whenever I meet you. Like, I'm just gonna be like, "Ah!" Just it's so inspiring. Like the words never really give it justice for the feelings that you're actually feeling at the time. The crying, that I'm so scared, what am I gonna do next? And the perseverance, and then now sitting, you're like, okay, I can use words to describe that. It doesn't really describe the feeling, but like I truly get it when you said I'm very proud of myself, because it is an achievement. It really, 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 really is, to sit there and think, oh my God, I just separated. I'm in a country, I don't even have my husband backing me up, but now you have a super better husband, super better stepdad. Like, it's way bigger and better. And like, you're excited with yourself. Like, it's just, hugs. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Elizabeth's really good at hugs. I very good at hugs.
I hug you back.
Let's see. Looks like Vic could relate to you. Sejal could relate to you. Deborah. The people. Myself. I'm originally from Argentina, so I can definitely relate to you as well. So yeah, my goodness. Anything else for Ipek? There's, of course, Elaine is loving a quote or putting a quote down, which is great. Yes, great quote, Elaine. Agree. So read if you haven't read the comments, they're really great as well. Lots of love there too. And I want to remind everyone, speakers, or even if you're not speaking, go ahead and put how people can get a hold of you, because there's lots of great stuff here with everyone that's doing lots of initiatives on their own. A lot of great people on here. Okay, thank you so much, Ipek. That was quite powerful, and lots of more hugs from me, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for shining your light. Next, we have Carol, Captain Carol Curtis. She is really unique in my eyes because I've never met anyone quite like her. I met her through the Houston Writers Guild, and I cannot wait to hear her story because she was the only person on deck when she was in the services that was female, and she has a visual story. She's the first storyteller ever to share slides on a worthy rally, and it's all going to be visuals. So this is a must see. This is in for a treat. I can't wait to hear your story, Carol. You always, I know you've been in these rallies before, and ever since I've met you, you have this amazing strength about you and perseverance, and really, I get a sense sticking up for what is right. And I love that about you, and how you resonate that in everything that you do. So it's a pleasure to hear your story today.
Thank you. And I'm really happy that how some of your comments said how badly you want something, how that fits right into my story. Okay, how badly you want something and the motivation it takes to get there. So can everyone see my screen? I didn't even know. Okay, so this is going to serve as an introduction to me, the story, and where it all started, how I ended up becoming the captain of container ships, tankers, and car carriers. Okay, these are not Navy vessels. These are not small boats. These are big, huge ships that go all over the ocean. And this shows you where it actually all started. Now, originally this audience was meant for high schoolers, but you'll see that it's okay for adults. And again, it was part of a project for my year-long leadership training, transformational leadership training called Feminine Power, if anyone's ever heard of that. I don't know. Anyway, so here we go. I didn't even know. Turns out there's three kinds of knowledge: the things you know you don't know, and the things you don't even know that you don't know it. And let me give you some examples of these. So first, there's the things you know. This is where you got from your parents, from your school, and your whole lifetime of personal experiences. These are things you know about life. Then there's the things you know you don't know. You know you don't know how to do ballet. You know you don't know nuclear science or astrophysics, and you know you don't know a lot of things, and you know that, and you're able to accept that there's things you don't know. And then there's the type of knowledge that you're completely oblivious to. You don't even know that you don't know it. And notice that's the largest portion of knowledge that's out there. Okay, that's out there. You only hold one teeny tiny percent. What did Einstein say? Anyone know that quote? You only hold 1%, less than 1% of the knowledge that's out there. So even Einstein said that. So that's the largest portion of knowledge available, the stuff you're oblivious to. Well, this is a story about what I was completely oblivious to that I did not know. So this is me in high school. I entered high school. We had just moved from Tacoma, Washington to San Antonio, Texas. It was a fresh start in a very large school, and 1,000 students just in my class in San Antonio. That's a big school. 1975. What I didn't know that I didn't know is that I had great potential in high school, beyond anything I could possibly imagine. This is me at 16. How did I know that at 45, I was going to become a captain of huge cargo ships? Had no idea. This is my first day as captain. Look at that smile on my face. Boy, was I a happy camper. I mean, a happy captain. Okay, so it all started at the end of my sophomore year in high school. I noticed that some of our senior class wore a beautiful satin sash on picture day. Sorry, I don't know why that's happening. Hold on. Band. Am I going backwards? Backwards. Sorry about that. I noticed, okay, it was the honor students that wore this satin sash on graduation. This was my introduction to honors. I was told that to graduate with honors, I needed an A average at the end of my junior year or a B average by the end of my senior year. Well, I wanted to wear that sash. I made that decision. I wanted to wear that sash. How bad did I want it? Enough to take a look at my report card. So I looked at my report card and it was not good. I was kind of a below average student. If I wanted to wear that sash, I kind of had to get my grades up. I was just I was a C student, BC student, maybe a few A's. This meant I needed a fast track to good grades, because here, if I was a C student in sophomore year, I had to get to B and A. So I looked really hard at my report card. In English and Spanish classes, I was getting a low C. In science and math classes, I was getting B pluses and A's. Well, so my strategy was to rise and shine. I would have to take more of what I was good at and less at what I was not good at. So here I am in art class. I just threw this in because I had an actual picture of me at 17 doing an art thing in 1975. An easy A, of course. So I enjoyed math and science class and easily got my grades up. I didn't honestly have to even study very hard to do this. So it just goes to show kids how just because I wanted to wear a sash, I could change my grades overnight. And I really did. I did not even have to study all that much harder. And by senior year, I was able to get my grade point up to qualify for honors. So in bicentennial year 1976, I graduated with honors and I got to wear the satin sash. This was Oliver Wendell Holmes High School. Well, because of that, it turns out that it helped me to qualify to get into a prestigious 4-year college on a full scholarship. Well, this was the United States Merchant Marine Academy. This is where I entered the Merchant Marine Academy, and I proceeded to enroll in a double major. Now, one of the good things about this being a full scholarship is I had 8 brothers and sisters. And these were all from the same parents. And so there was no talk of college, because why? There's no way they could have afforded it. There was no affording college. My mother wanted me to do what she did, get pregnant at 16 and have 8 babies. That's what she wanted me to do. Seriously. She let boyfriends sleep overnight. I don't know why she ever did that. Yeah, you really think about that, girls. So I entered the United States Merchant Marine Academy because it was free, and I was going to be able to travel the world, and I wouldn't have to be in an airline where everyone was going to be smacking my butt. This was going to be traveling the world on ships, dirty, grimy ships, not military. These are cargo, commercial ships, right? Anyway, I went ahead and got a double major. Wow. Who knew? 2 majors saved only for the highest grade students. I didn't even know, remember that's the title of my story, I didn't even know I was smart. Did not even know what I was capable of back in high school. I just wanted to wear the satin stash, and that decision opened up a wonderful new path for me. So here I am at 19 studying on board a ship as a cadet, which is an officer in training. I became a captain and an engineer of huge cargo ship and proceeded to do a 30-year career at sea on board these ships, almost always, and I mean 99.99% of the time, as the only woman aboard. Okay. So, and I'm, by the way, I am publishing a book, and it's coming out at the end of this year. So on stories about my shipping time and how hard it was, because being the only woman on the ship in 1976, they were trying to do everything to send us home broken and crying. So remember, there's 3 kinds of knowledge. You never know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and keep your mind open. It's amazing how just one small choice can change your life so dramatically. So unlock your potential by making good choices. What is one small change you can choose today that could alter your life, even for just a little bit, for the better? I didn't even know I was smart. Thank you. What did you think?
You're really good. You're so captivating.
Debating.
That was awesome. Thank you, Captain Carol.
Can I ask something?
Stay
Yeah.
tuned for more, yes?
Well, I can't let you go without sharing with us one of your most interesting memories that you had during your tenure as a captain.
Oh yeah, well, of course, that's what the memoir does, right? The memoirs covers 30 years is a long time, but yes, stay tuned. I mean, when I get another 5 minutes, I've got 15 of these stories written already in PowerPoint format. And the idea is when the book gets published, well, I'm going to start my public career when the book gets published, and I'm going to put one little story out per week to try to get them to buy the book. Here's one little snippet, buy the book. Here's another little snippet, buy the book. And you'll see some of them, they're all very cute like this. And I admit that this one was a little bit targeted toward high schoolers, but whatever, it's for everybody.
Yes. Well, Carol, if you can, if you can share something back to Ipek, something relating to an experience that stood out as being the only female on a ship, that would be amazing to hear.
Not about being the only female on the ship, because it turns out, most of those were pretty bad stories, because I was put up with a lot of harassment, and those are the harder stories to write. But I do have lots and lots of stories that did not focus on that. I mean, I've got 15 of them. I'm looking at them right here. I'm not sure which one. How about my very first day aboard?
Sure.
You ready for that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you asked for it. Here we go. I'll get it. It's popping up here in a split second. Big black ship. That's the name of my story. Close this, minimize this, share screen. Big black ship. And that's funny because that's kind of the first chapter of my book. All right, that was written by a ghostwriter that I really don't like, but I probably shouldn't have said that. Well, anyway, here, big black ship. The taxi driver stopped and announced, "We're here." My neck was stiff as I lifted my head off the back of the seat. I wiped the drool from my face and peered out the window. Well, where's the ship? I only see the shiny side of a big black building in front of me. Looking right and to the left, I don't see any doors. I don't see any windows. I only saw the big shiny side of a big black warehouse in front of me. Where's the ship? You know, here I am. I've already been to school for 1.5 years on learning how to run ships, and I don't even recognize it once it's right in front of me. The side of the warehouse looked to be about 6 stories tall. Well, where's the ship? I asked the taxi driver. He goes, "You're looking at it." Unable to comprehend what I was seeing, I asked meekly, "Well, how do I get aboard?" The driver plucked my duffel bag on the dock and pointed. "Right there," and he pointed to the gangway. In the middle of this huge black structure was a long, skinny ladder slanting up about 6 stories leading up to the main deck of the ship. Oh my God, I have to climb all the way up there? This thing is huge. What the heck is at the top? I was frightened to think. I got startled as the handrails and poles moved sideways when I grabbed the railings. The poles were hinged at the bottom and held with only one pin. Their heads looking over the side of the vessel, so I'd make a good impression. My duffel bag weighed 70 pounds, and I had to make a good impression. Holding onto the rail with one hand and my duffel bag on the back and the briefcase on the other hand, I began ascending the long aluminum gangway. I leaned forward, bearing the weight of the duffel bag on my back and marching up the gangway rungs. I took about a dozen steps before I needed the strength of my arms to assist in pulling my body up and the 70-pound bags up to the next step. After about 15 more steps, the long gangway started bouncing, getting wobblier and wobblier each step. I decided it was time to stop walking, climbing, and let the waves and movement of the ripple away. I was breathing very heavy by now. Yet I was only halfway up the gangway. Several heads peered over the side, and I heard some chuckling and some various rude remarks. Someone reported over the radio, "Hey, mate, some girls coming aboard with bags." They knew what that meant, a crew member. What a rude awakening what rude welcoming that was. I was my first day on a ship, and I'm only a cadet, an officer in training. I'll show them they don't have to worry about me. This woman can carry her own weight. This load on my back should be proof of that. With their ill humor spurred me on to show no weakness. With the death grip on the railing, I marched on and took about 15 more steps. Catching my breath, I slowed near the top of the gangway to regulate my breathing, because who knew what circus scene I was going to find at the top. Thank you. I like being off mute so I can hear you laugh. When I arrived on the main deck, there was a lone seaman on the gangway watch. "Hi, I'm here to see the chief mate." "Deck 4, he said without moving his head or offering to help. Well, the memory of my workday, the rest of my memory went like this. I met the chief mate. He told me, "Go eat lunch, get in your work clothes, and meet me on deck at 1 o'clock. On deck, he gave orders to the bosun and the deck gang, and then he turned to me. He took me to a big pile of D-shaped metal rings. These D-rings are used for securing the huge barges on our ship. The mate said that he needed me to move the D-rings to a storage buck up forward on the bow. Since we were in the repair dock, the deck was strewn with welding wires, cargo lashing gears, small generators, and wire rods, like an obstacle course the whole way there and back. Each one was so heavy that I could only carry one each hand. The ship, being 876 feet long, was a long way to carry these heavy rings with one in each hand. First day, this is how they treat us cadets, right? Back and forth I went endlessly that day. What are these things anyway? Is this really the best way to move these 600 feet each way? this doesn't make any sense. Where is everybody? What's going on here? Why am I the only one working? Where's the chief mate? Hello? I'm waiting to be supervised here. First day. Not knowing about union coffee breaks. I didn't stop for water. I didn't stop for rest. I didn't even stop to use the bathroom. I must have moved over 100 of those pieces that day. I finally stopped at 5:30 because I didn't want to miss dinner. I never saw the chief mate the rest of that day, leaving me with more questions than answered on my very first day aboard ship, 1977. There were a lot more rocks ahead as I embarked on my 30-year career, but this is where ignorance of immaturity looks like fearlessness. There's a quote for you. The ignorance of immaturity looks like fearlessness. That's a good quote, huh? Shipping around the world on cargo ships as a navigation and engineering officer, I was most often the only woman on the ship. Decades later, I earned 2 licenses. Master of the United States steam or motor vessels of any gross ton upon any oceans, got in 2000, and chief engineer of steam, motor, and gas propelled vessels of any horsepower in 2002. But that was my first day aboard ship. It was a rotten one.
That was incredible. That
Was it?
so incredible. I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it. What do you guys think?
I don't think I can follow that. I think we're done.
Oh,
Let's just head out. That was awesome. That was so freaking awesome.
thank you.
What a fascinating life. I can't wait to read your book, Carol.
Thank you.
Fascinating. And you are a great storyteller. Thank you so much for sharing. I know that chapter 1 wasn't in the plans, but I appreciate you sharing that. That
And they're
made my day.
short. They're usually short. Thank you.
Yeah, you have a gift. Anything else for Carol?
I'll send my email.
Yes, please do. Wow. Next we have Elizabeth. So Liz and I, actually Liz connected with me, and she blew me away with the way she connected with me on LinkedIn. She actually left me a video message rather than just I want to connect with you, a video message showing how excited she is to connect and can't wait to meet me and all this stuff. And I was just like blown away. And then I realized she does this for every single person. And you could just feel the kindness and the love in her just by doing that. It's like we were doing in the very beginning. It's just seeing a person taking the time to hear words, to put your words there, to show your emotions is so powerful than just typing in words. So I really appreciated that. And I immediately wanted to connect with her. And she had kindness written all over her bio. She goes as the kindness incorporator. And she's all about finding your inner hero, which I love, which is one of my mantras as well. She's all about the culture of kindness. Her personality is just so radiant and positive, and we had a lot of fun speaking our first time a few weeks ago. And little did we know, we started talking about how she always wanted to publish a book, because I said, what's next? So she always wanted to publish a book. And then our conversation just evolved from there about her book. And there was just this immense feeling that for some reason, I was meant to meet Elizabeth because I feel this passion toward her book. And she said she wanted to do something by July 31st, that she just woke up with that date. And I'm like, well, it happens to be that July 31st is a worthy rally. July 31st is the day we're going to get you on that rally to tell your story. And for the first time ever, say that you are having a work in progress and a book coming out soon. And she is. And she is. She it's this was 3 weeks ago. And 3 weeks ago she was still at least from what I took from the conversation, still wondering if she should do this. And she bounced in, she went through it, she found the resources on her own. And this is the coolest part. She has her son involved. Her little boy is an author of the book. The She shared with me, which I'm humbled and honored. She shared with me a sneak peek of her cover. She already has an illustrator, and it's a kid's book. And the title and the author actually is her son by Relic and Mommy, which so I cannot wait, Elizabeth, to see your book. It's all about what she believes in, kindness, and it's it's July 31st was meant to be for you. It's the beginning of a lot of new things. You may not actually have the book in your hands, but this is, I believe strongly that this is a day that a lot of things are going to open up. It's just the beginning. So thank you so much for being here, Elizabeth, and I cannot wait to hear your story.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Andrea. And whew, I'm almost tearing up. I still don't believe it was like 3 weeks ago that we were talking about this. So hi everyone. Hi, I'm Liz. I call myself a kindness incorporator just because I try to ensure that there's still kindness wherever I go. And my favorite quote is, be the kindness you don't see. And if you do see it, celebrate it. That to me is like everything, because I'm like, you can just smile and make somebody's day, and that's a kindness. It's just something that's natural to you, right? Or might not be natural to you. You could see somebody just sitting all alone. They might not be crying, and just like for Andrea, you know, you meet somebody and you're like, "Are you sad?" And look at what the ripple effect it had, right? It went with her, and it made her think, and it's just like, for me, that's how I feel about hugs. That's how I feel about every time I speak to somebody. It's like, I don't know what effect I'm going to have on you, but let the effect be so great that you want to go and just be kind to other people. Because we don't know what's going to be happening in the next 100 years, in the next 500 years. We don't know what our kids, our grandkids, our cousins, our godfathers, godmothers are going to be like. But the one thing I hope we can absolutely say is going to happen is that there'll still be kindness, and that we'll still be able to recognize it and celebrate it. And of course, empathy, right? Empathy is like the best. Anyway, sorry. I'm going to scale back a bit about my story. So I'm an immigrant, just like Ipek. I was born and raised in Kenya. And I came here when I think I was like 22, 23 years. And it's because my brother got married to an American, moved here, and he didn't really have any family other than his wife. And then, of course, what did he decide to do? He decided to join the army. So, you know, when you join the army, you get what? You get sent over to Iraq, to Afghanistan. You know, hey, why not? Like, why not? So the first time he was sent to Iraq, and we were all scared, right? Because we're all in Kenya, we're watching CNN, and there's all of this stuff happening, and there's nothing we can do to help him in any way, right? So when we knew he was coming back, my family, we talked about it, and I was like, let me at least be in the country when he comes back, so at least he has some sort of support. So I did that. I joined him here, so at least when he was deployed the second time, at least there'd be somebody here other than his wife as well. So that's the reason I ended up immigrating to this country, was to at least offer some support for my brother. And of course, I had my selfish reasons. I wanted to see what America was like, because I'd only seen it in movies. So I was like, woohoo! I want to go meet Brad Pitt. I want to meet Jennifer Aniston. I want to meet all these awesome people. Still haven't met them, but it will happen. It will happen. So that was about 15 years ago. And why do I do what I do? I do what I do because of the kindness. So of course, as an immigrant, as Ipek shared, there's a lot of culture shock. A lot of culture shock. My first culture shock was the McDonald's and automatic toilets. Oh my gosh. Like, guys, like, I know you're used to this, but we are not used to this. So coming into the country and going to use the toilet, like my sister's the one who got shocked first. She comes running out. She calls me, Beth, you have got to see this. So we both run into the toilet and she's like, look, it's just like flushing by itself. Like, I didn't even do anything. It just like flashed by itself. Like we okay, I'm not going to talk about the culture shock. So I come here, and the reason why I wanted to go with kindness is because there's a lot of stuff that was going on. And of course I had to get a job to support myself, my family back home, and to help my brother out while he's here. And so this one lady, she was the general manager of the Courtyard in Poughkeepsie. Her name was Lori. I came for an interview and she hired me on the spot. Don't know why, but she did. And so I was nervous. I was nervous because I don't know a lot of the culture, right? I only know Kenyan culture. And so we would start off our shift. Like, she hired me as a server at a restaurant at the Courtyard Cafe. And I literally was just trying as hard as possible not to get fired. Let's start with first. And then second was to do my very best to make sure that whatever responsibility I was given, that it was the best that I could possibly do it as. So as I worked harder, she would be like, Elizabeth, thank you so much for doing this. And she was absolutely kind to me to the point that she allowed me to cross-train. I cross-trained to be housekeeper, to be front desk, to be, whatever I could possibly do, I did. And in 4 years, I was able to be promoted to a manager, but it was at another hotel. Now, where the kindness comes in is she had a lot of applicants that day and she chose me, right? That's A. B, whenever I made a mistake, because I know I made a lot of mistakes, like a lot of mistakes, the way she approached me with them was out of kindness. And that made such a big difference because you could tell she wants the best for me just by the way she was speaking to me. Now, as my career went on, I went on from being an operations manager to being a general manager, which blew my head. I didn't understand how that happened, but it did. I came across other managers, and that's when I realized how kind she was, because the other managers would be like, are you stupid? Like, why would you do it like that? Like, what made you think in your head that this was the best thing to do at the time? So compared to her being like, all right, Elizabeth, so I have some feedback for you. Are you excited? Are you excited? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Compared to, are you stupid? Like, no, you don't do it that way. Like, how did you not know this, right? That's when I realized, I can get angry easily, but also you need to be patient. And that when you are in a position that is managing others, that your communication is completely essential. And you have to have kindness when you're speaking to people. So I went from operations manager to general manager, and then I got to a point I was actually managing 2 hotels at the same time. And this is where I realized the kindness of one person who was my general manager, the way she spoke to me, the way she spoke to her employees, ran with me all the way up to wherever I ended up. So whenever I hired somebody, whoever I hired, I helped them realize how you speak to others makes such a big difference. How you respect them, how you empathize them. Please realize that everybody is human first. Yes, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're mothers, we're godmothers, we're everything, but we are human first. Please give the benefit of the doubt. Because we have grown up with cultures with assumptions that people are evil, that people are out to get you. But no, we're not all like that. So let's give the benefit of the doubt. So that was my story in kindness, and the reason why when the pandemic hit in 2020, I found out my hotel was getting sold. And that was the life changer for me. When your hotel gets sold, it means that there's a high probability you're probably not going to be kept as a general manager. You could be kept, of course, if you like what it's going to become, right? If the brand is going to align with you and all of that nice stuff. But I knew I was not going to be staying. So I had to transition the whole hotel, make sure they stay and that they're happy with the new company. And then I leave. So when I left, I ended up taking a temporary position with the company that I was working with, which was great. However, it was hundreds and hundreds of miles from where I live. And I had just given birth to my 3-month-old. So I was living in Virginia while working in Syracuse, New York, commuting. So every 3 weeks, I would come back home, spend a week with my sons, because I have 2, and my partner, and then go back again. So I did this for 3 months. Post-pandemic, it tore me apart. And the thing about it is I was so grateful to the company for giving me a chance, right? Not firing me being able to support my family. However, my partner got sick. He's had a terminal thing that comes up and down. And in February of this year, this temporary position, they extended it. They were like, okay, we're not going to sell this hotel that you're currently in until September 2021. Elizabeth, are you cool staying until September? So then I'm thinking to myself, am I going to be commuting from Virginia to Syracuse until September? And then my partner started getting mini strokes. He already had a brain aneurysm that we didn't know when it was going to pop up. But he had been doing okay. That's the reason for me going back and forth. So in February, he had mini strokes that paralyzed half of his face. I'm sorry. And half of his body. And I was in Syracuse when it happened. And this is where, when I tell you kindness is everything. My staff was like, Elizabeth, it's okay, we got you. I know you need to fly back up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're so short-staffed, barely hanging on as a hotel. But Elizabeth, you need to go take care of your partner, and you need to go take care of your kids. So cool. And I talked to my boss, and my boss is like, Elizabeth, you know what? I get it. You have to be with your family. Do you mind working from home while you're going through all of this? We'll keep you still on payroll while we figure stuff out. If you want to come back, you can. And I was like, I can't come back. It's sad. I love this company so much. Its core values are like everything. Like, they have a core value that says putting people first. Like, come on. How cool is that? You have a core value that literally says, we will put you first. Anyway, so I end up making the big decision that unfortunately I have to stay home with my babies and my partner and figure out what I'm going to do. And he tells me, okay, yeah, please work from home until we find somebody. And the company still says, Elizabeth, we'll give you your severance still. Because, you know, it was something unexpected, of course, right? It was a temporary position. We sold your hotel. And this is why I do what I do, because of that kindness. They could have done anything. They could have been like, well, not it's your fault. You're leaving your job halfway through. So bye. There was so many instances where they could have not been kind, but they were. And corporations like that, companies like that, organizations like that just fill me up with hope. And that's what I want to continue to make sure happens. I want to spread that kindness, because it would have killed me if I lost my job at that time. I don't want to be negative and say it would have killed me, but like, it literally would have just shattered my life to the point of I have no money. I have a house, I have my 2 kids, I have all of these things happening while I'm also trying to support my family back home and do all of these things. And they were just like, okay, we're good. Don't worry. Just if you're able to do some work while you're taking care of your sick husband or your sick partner, go ahead. So that is my story. That is the reason why I started the Kindness Incorporator project, because every single person that I worked with touched my life in some way. The general manager that hired me, the operations manager that picked my resume out of everybody else's, right? To span a 13-year career was kind. The people who shared their knowledge with me, realizing that my culture is totally different from yours. And that when I said something, I wasn't coming off as rude because I didn't know how to express myself well, but they were patient enough to listen to me and understand what I was saying. So that for me is the Kindness Incorporator project that I do, which is creating a kindness inspired company. So that in companies, corporate companies, every single person, if they look through kindness, the culture is going to be great. And imagine if everything becomes kindness inspired, then we can even go into government. Maybe we can even stop racial injustice if everybody thinks in a kindness inspired mindset, right? How cool would that be if in 10 years, everybody just first thought in their mind is, this person is not out to get me. The first thought is, I want to hug you because you're alive and you're human and you are awesome. And thank you for coming today. And yay, you know, hugs and kisses and Care Bears. Imagine if life was like that. It would make such a big difference. It's just being empathetic and being kind. And that is my story. Thank you guys for listening to me. And I think I already shared my quote. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You're a beautiful person. You've been through a lot, and you still have the courage to go on and continue to share that kindness. And it reminds me of what Elaine was saying, how her act of kindness made a difference to someone. And in fact, the act of kindness that company made for you completely changed your life. And gosh, now it's like your mission. You're a kindness incorporator. So, you know, it makes us think. One kind gesture can really, really multiply into something that we may never ever know. But it can cause someone like another Elizabeth to start their whole life mission, their whole life purpose to really focus on incorporating kindness to everyone. So that's really cool. Any comments? Can anyone relate to Elizabeth? Any questions to Elizabeth?
I would like to, sorry, Jerry. I would like to give my comment. How it made me feel listening to you, Elizabeth. I wanted to hug you. And being in a company that values its employees as human beings is something unfortunately rare. I mean, this shouldn't be an exception. This should be the norm. This should be the same for every company. And I believe people like us, all of us here, we can make it happen. We can demonstrate how it is possible. And I think it's very powerful and very insightful what you have shared, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks
I
for
just
listening.
want to add that I work in Fort Bend County in Texas, and it's it is the most culturally diverse county in the country. And I wish every kid growing up could go to schools like I teach in. I mean, it's just religiously and racially diverse, and kindness is preached every day. And the kids you can feel it in the building. I wish the world could be like that. It's just neat to live in a place like this. And some kids grow up and they only see kids that look like them in school all day. And it just breaks your heart that happens, you know?
Yeah. Totally hear that. Totally hear what you're saying there. Firstly, my thanks to all the speakers so far and for the speakers who are coming up. For myself, kindness really does resonate. I do believe that, it takes less energy to be kind than it does to be mean, and all that kind of stuff. You do look at things through the kindness lens, and I do think that's so important. It kind of resonates for myself because what I kind of say in a lot of things that I post and kind of generally is kindness, caring, and empathy are just essential tools. It's essential that you have these things in your life. You have kindness, you have empathy, you have these things. These are what make us human, and these are what make us diverse and rich in all of our conversations. And without these things, you know, chaos ensues. But if we implement these things and we look at kindness, we look at happiness, and we look at joy and various other things, the power that that creates is limitless. It's just limitless. There's that power and what it brings to the table of humanity, as some of our mutual good friend Chris Berman says, when we all come together as one, wondrous things will happen.
That's beautiful, David. Thank you for sharing. And Jerry and Ipek, thanks for your comments. Anything else for Elizabeth?
Hi, Elizabeth. I just wanted to say thank you for sharing such a powerful story. And you got such a beautiful high vibe. You're so high vibrational. And there's something that you shared in your story, which is a belief, your belief, which I believe we all share, is that we are innately givers, not takers. And that belief, no doubt it carried you through also those challenging times. And I kind of like, I was, as I was listening to you, I was like, but in a way, who would not be kind to you? Because you're being guided by your belief that we are innate givers and not innate takers. And so I felt in a way it was a bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you are in a way manifesting what you believe. So thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. I've never thought of it that way, but oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. It does, but thank you. And with what I shared with Andrea in terms of the book, like that's literally what the children's book is about. It's like Moyo is heart in Swahili, and that's the main character. And my son tries to make Moyo happy, like just by doing kind stuff. And it's like weird because it makes me so happy just seeing it, but it makes me happy when I'm sad and I make somebody else feel better, I feel better. Is that weird? Like I could be drowning in it and I'm like, you know what, let me give some candy to somebody who doesn't have any, or like give some fruit, and it's like endorphins or something happens. There's probably a word for it, but I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it.
Thank words, Deborah. And what you just said, Elizabeth, when you said, am I weird for feeling like that? Did you see how many nods went? Did you see that? That made me feel good too, because I feel you. That's how I feel too. Wow. Wow. Wonderful stories. Thank you so much. We have one more, last but not least, Jerry. So Jerry and I spoke once. We actually met through Twitter. I have a Twitter chat called Dare to Be, which happens every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And Jerry's been on there for a while, and his comments are always so powerful, but also so real, and full of meaning and courage, and you can tell he has a huge heart, and his energy was just resonating through his text, through his Twitter, words, and I have to meet this guy. And I reached out to him, and we ended up having a conversation. And he happens to live here in Houston as well, which was amazing. And wow, he has a story. He's gone through a lot in his life, but the best part of it all is he's giving back, and he's giving back one student at a time. He's been in education for a very long time. He's been a teacher for a very long time. And he was sharing some beautiful moments of how his students thank him for believing in them when they didn't themselves. And that's powerful. That's powerful stuff. And just a little effort, extra things he does to make each of his students feel unique and special and empower them to be who they are. Jerry, it's a pleasure to have you here. I can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you so much. And this story is going to go right into what Elizabeth and David were talking about. Let me start off with the first thing I remember in my life. This is what I tell the kids on the first day of school. I was going the summer before my kindergarten year. We were playing stickball in the backyard of my neighbor's house. And I'm going to go through this real quick in school. It's a lot longer. But there was a childhood accident, and my neighbor, I did something to my neighbor. He got mad at me, and he threw a stick at me. And I had my hands up. I was on my back like this. And the last thing I remember, that stick went right through my fingers and hit me in this eye. And so from that day forward, I legally blinded this eye. And that had profound impacts on the choices I had as a child growing up. I couldn't play football. I couldn't do a lot of things because of that injury. Then in 5th and 6th grade, if you put 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys together and just let them be, they're probably going to pick on someone. It's just, I don't know. It's the testosterone that makes, it's just bad, sad. But I was the guy everyone picked on in 5th and 6th grade. So I went to school every day, was called names. And to this day, I still, like, I need my quiet time. I need my me time. So I'll go out and just, in high school, I would run for hours. I'd like 2 hours a day in the Houston heat. I would just go out and jog 13 to 16 miles, and I just had alone time. Then the summer before my 8th grade year in 1980, I graduated from high school in 1985. I was playing with my friend in my house. My sister was in her room, and my dad was homesick. And we heard a loud book drop in my dad's room, and my sister opened the door, went down and got me, and she told me to go and, check on dad, see if he's okay. So I walked and I opened the bedroom door, and the first thing I heard was a waterfall sound. And it's like, what's going on? I turned around to my sister, and she was in tears, and my friend was like, didn't know what was going on. I walked in the room, and my dad was on the bed with his arms crossed, with his pistol to his side. He just shot himself in the head. And so I was in that room for I don't know how long, until the ambulance got there. My sister, my friend went home, and my sister was outside. My sister never saw what I saw in that room. And to this day, I mean, I overcame it, but you can't unsee that. And I still can't watch drama movies where, like, that puts me back in that spot. It's just, I like, if I'm watching a movie or a TV, I like comedy. I can't do drama anymore. I don't, and thankfully my wife recognizes that. But those are 3 huge childhood things that happened to me as a child. Went to college. I couldn't play football because of my eye, so I chose to be an athletic trainer. And like, I think Elizabeth, I forgot whose story it was, or Captain Carol, that choice paid for my college. My parents would never have been able to, especially my mom being single now. I mean, I got a scholarship that paid tuition and books at Lamar University in Beaumont, and I graduated. I became a teacher. And my last year of college, there was a picnic table at Port Neches Park that I sat at every day, and I just had a lot of quiet time and reflection time. And I wanted to know my reason why, like Ipek said, that I wanted the dots to connect to my life. Mm-hmm. And that spring, I got a job at Killeen ISD, and every day after school, I would read a Bible that I got when I graduated from college. And in the spring of that year, of 1991, all of the dots in my life connected. All of those things I had when I was a child made me choose choices that put me into education and put me in that spot. I made my first classroom rule in August 1990, always believe in yourself. And somehow, some way I was teaching my kids to believe in who they were. And I had no idea how I was doing that. So I continued teaching, and I was 20 years, this is my 32nd year as a teacher. One of the most profound things, well, let me take this first. This right here is a notebook I started writing in. It's my inspired phrases for those that love quotes. These are the things I tweet. Those inspired phrases are all right here. These have been lived out in my life, and it's profound. I started writing this, the very first one, and look at how old the paper is. I mean, it's just, this is like 31 years old. I mean, it's amazing to have this. The very first thing I wrote, to succeed is one thing, but to make others become better through your successes is what every successful person should strive for. I wrote that in 1989, not knowing I'd be a teacher. And that's what a teacher does. And just amazing to have a journal like this that you could look back. It's pretty neat. And a lot of these phrases are posters in my classrooms that I tweet out, and some of the tweeter, they have meaning and they resonate. And 3 years ago, I became an author, The Story I've Always Believed. I wrote this book a lot for my kids. The 3 stories I told you about as a childhood are the first 3 stories in this book. And it's very powerful how it all connects together. And a kid reading, there's a book on how to find your it. So I wrote some kind of what Ipek was talking about, where you got to connect those dots. The second connect the dot moment I had in my life happened about 5 years ago. I was at a GT update. Every year my kids give me letters. I have a tub of letters of this is just one I put on the top. And these are letters that the kids give me. I don't ask for them. They just give them to me. And a lot of those letters tell me, thank you for teaching me to believe in myself. And I don't even teach a lesson about it. It's just my first rule. And I always wondered, how am I doing this? And it goes back to what David said. A lot of y'all are saying, in 1990, I was reading my Bible after school, and I made it my goal to be described by the fruits of the Spirit with my kids. So I try to live out love, joy, peace, kindness, gentleness, goodness. I want those words for my kids to describe me with. And those words are in these letters. I don't know how it happened, but they describe me with peace, with kindness, with love. All of those words, it's just like, wow. The GT facilitator said that you non-verbally communicate inspiration. And I researched this, and you're like y'all were saying, as Andre was saying at the beginning of this, when you look, you're non-verbally communicating all the time. All the time. You can tell someone smile or sad and they don't even have to say a word, especially if you're perceptive to it. As a teacher, you zone in on that. And I've been non-verbally communicating the fruits of the spirits with my kids. And right now, y'all, please give me some wisdom here. I have the initial draft of the book. I'm writing my second book. It's called The Art of Inspiration. An educator reading this book is going to learn reproducible actions so they can reproduce. I call them the ultimate teacher descriptors in my book. And there's not many books that teach teachers how to inspire. There's not a lot of research on it. I have done some research. There's a book called Dare to Inspire. And like what I'm doing in my room is like, it's amazing. It works. But we're not, as educators, I've never had a professional development over nonverbal communication. And hopefully this book is going to lay the groundwork, because this is how you inspire kids. This is how you make them feel. This is what they're going to remember you by. And perhaps the greatest day of my life, I think it was the spring of 2018. It just, time goes by so quick. A student I didn't even teach wanted to do a video documentary about my career. And in 2004, I started videoing the Friday Night Light football games. And I have this belief sign. If you watch the video I'm about to share, this belief sign has been in thousands of pictures with students. And pretty neat that a student gifted, I don't know which student gifted this to me, but I take this down on the field on Friday Night Lights and I get pictures with the kids with this. And these pictures go on their cell phones. I mean, you become, when you become part of a kid in a picture like that of their memories, they don't forget you and they will remember to believe. And just wish me luck with this. I'm writing the second draft now of the book, and it could be a game changer in education because there's not many books that talk about this. When you role model these ultimate teacher descriptors, you're teaching SEL skills, social emotional learning skills, with the kids' needs. You're in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're providing that base of the pyramid. You're inspiring those kids to self-actualization. And I wish, my goal as a teacher is to become, I had a connect the dots moment when I was 23. Some people live their whole lives and never ever get to that. I mean, Ipek, it must be neat to do what you do because you're helping people connect the dots. Once you connect those dots, you know what your it is, and you could, like for 31 years, I've made it not teaching math is one thing, teaching a kid to believe in who they are, it's something you don't forget, and I've been blessed. And all of that, when kids describe you with those words, it generates joy. And when you make a happy memory with a kid, especially in the innocence of their childhood, I teach high schoolers, but if you, like a 7-year-old kid, if you make a happy memory with them that they never forget, the joy that is produced in that has like extra credit. It's just priceless. And as an educator, you could do that every single day at work. And I barely made it through last year with all those videos I had to do. You're in the office right now where I produced over 300 lesson videos last year at about 45 minutes a pop on the weekends. So it was, I don't want to ever do that again. But hopefully we're in school this year, and that was like brutal reproducing, but it's amazing my virtual kids, because I videoed myself in this room where they could see my body, and I was still verbally communicating through them through a video. They were still sending me emails at the end of the year with those descriptors in it. And the parents saw that too. So it's pretty profound the stuff I'm writing about, hopefully will be a game changer. My goal, like I could retire now, but my wife won't let me. But if this book takes off, I could launch a presenter career and go to schools and teach teachers how to do what I'm doing, because it works. I mean, when you teach a kid to believe in who they are, that is way beyond just teaching them Algebra 1. So thank y'all so much for staying here. I'm going to put a link to the video that the link on YouTube I just posted. If you got 7 minutes later today, it's a 7-minute video. You will not regret watching that. It'll probably make you put a tear in your eye. It's pretty powerful. Thank y'all so much. It's been, this is amazing. It's 2 hours. Just awesome. Thank you for doing this, Andre. I mean, this is something I'm going to do every Saturday at the end of the month from now on. This is awesome.
Gary, it's kind of like how Andrea started, how you can feel a lot in that silence, that nonverbal silence.
Exactly.
And some woo-woo people would call that energetic stuff, but we'll just keep it to what you said, nonverbal.
Wow, Jerry. You have to catch up on these comments. They're amazing. You're a game changer. A lot of people on here are. But wow, what you just shared is, not only do you think differently, but you have huge empathy skills and a way to connect. You make time to connect, or it doesn't necessarily have to be part of your job description, but I love your usage of extra credit joy. So I love that. And oh my gosh, those students, I agree with all the comments. They're so lucky to have you. I still remember those teachers that inspired me, touched me because they made those specific extra remarks to me throughout my childhood. I still remember those times
Like to
very
add that
vividly.
I've taught for 31 years and I've taught 6th grade to 12th grade. When I teach 8th and 9th graders, which is how old I was when my dad did what he did, there is like a special connection. And I've looked back at my career and it has to be that, because that generates empathy for me. I know these kids have walked through, and use your tribulations to help. Like I work with kids, and kids know that I've walked through their steps just through the stories I've when you use the tribulations you've had in the past to help someone else overcome those same things, it generates joy. So just think about that. The deeper the valley, I mean, you're going to be able to use that wisdom to help someone else in the future.
Well said. Any other
Andrea,
comments
I
for
just
Jerry?
wanted
Shannon.
to say that all of your stories that resonate today need to be in classroom like libraries, because they all show random act of kindness, which is a great phrase to have in schools, but isn't always produced in the classroom. And you seem very fortunate to have gone or taught in a district, much like Liz taught in a hotel, where kindness came first and the person was seen. So, you know, kudos to all of you. And I taught for over 20 years, and due to some personal issues and also not having very friendly partners or staff, I retired. But in the back of my head, I've decided there needs to be a curriculum. Y'all's stories need to be collaborated and put together, because it's sad what I've seen children go through, the mental and emotional abuse that other teachers can do, and also their families. And whenever I think about going through your whole life that way and not nipping it in the bud, not showing children the love they deserve, if we actually had those sort of schools where that came first, how many fewer adults would be in jail or in mental hospitals? Like, if we could create a really truly safe environment for the children in the classroom, I just think you would reduce those numbers, and that money could go back into the schools or other, places where children really need it. So y'all are all proactive, and that's, I think your children, the people that you affect, really treasure those moments. So
Thanks, Shannon. Great words. So true. Anything else for Jerry?
I just want to thank you, Jerry. It was amazing, and that's my dream. Anyway, seeing kids getting education from people like you, and I would love to see you training other teachers to be like you, because we all know that our character and everything that makes us blooms between the ages of 0 and 7, and after that it gets more like it doesn't change too much. Therefore, the parents and teachers are the most important parts of growing up. And when teachers have this ability to see kids as human beings and give them the feelings and emotions and ideas that they can be kind and successful and happy at the same time, how a wonderful community and world we can live in. So I think all teachers should get this, and all kids around the world should grow with this thought, with this teaching. So thank you for doing this for your kids, for your students. But also I hope it spreads around to other schools, other teachers, other students.
That's my goal too. It's powerful.
Thank you, Ipek. Anything else for Jerry? Heard a lot of conversation. I can't wait to see that video, Jerry.
Yeah, it's powerful. I didn't even teach the girl who made it. It's really powerful.
Wow, we have 10 minutes left, and each of your stories today were so incredibly different, but they each brought a nugget of wisdom, heart, and just pure gold. So I really appreciate all of the speakers today. I think I just froze, but you'll just have to. I'm still here. But I wanted to close out, and if we're talking about kindness all throughout here, and if we have ideas, we've gone through situations, we've gone through experiences where we felt gratitude toward the kindness that we received. But just like love has its own languages and how people receive love in different ways and give love in different ways, I've been thinking like perhaps there's different kindness languages. It doesn't have to be this huge moment of kindness. It doesn't have to have this whole hoopla around it. It can be as simple as smiling to someone at the grocery store, just being there to listen to someone because they just need to talk and spill their heart out. So I'm curious to hear what your kindness language is. And I can go first because this will give us additional insight and ideas of how else people may see kindness and how else we may be able to demonstrate kindness in ways that we perhaps take for granted, but for others, it's like the kindness they've been searching for. So I can start by saying my kindness language is when someone tells me that they see me or that they understand, that means the world to me. I think it's because I was brought up with my feelings repressed and I shouldn't be feeling a certain way. I've always had to my worth was due to what others thought of me and how they envisioned I should be. So when people truly see me, that's why when that person truly saw that I was sad, even though I was sad, that meant the world to me because they saw me. They saw me for who I was and they were okay with it and they accepted it. That's the ultimate kindness to me. And that's why I try so hard to give that type of kindness back to others to make sure others feel seen and worthy. But there are other types of kindness, and I'm curious to hear yours. What's your version of an act of kindness that makes you feel so great?
I'm willing to be silly and the class clown in order to get people to smile and laugh.
My goal as a teacher, every day my kids smile. Even in a virtual learning, I did stuff. Every time you generate a smile, that's part of love. The more if that keeps happening, that will turn into love.
Beautiful.
For me,
I think mine is just reaching out to people, letting them know I'm there.
You're good at that, Shannon.
I extend in any moment what is being called for. So if that is, realigning a shopping cart in a parking situation, or picking up litter, or listening to a friend who needs to vent, or sending money to a friend who doesn't have the money to pay for something and I have that money. I am just serving the next person in my world and in my moment that I can with kindness.
I love that. Elizabeth, you were nodding a lot.
Yes, like Joy, I feel like you were speaking to me when you were saying that, because like that is exactly how I feel. I'm like just aligning the cart back. Like I'll see like 6 of them. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll put them back in because I don't want somebody else to have to do that. Like it's such, I don't know what to call it. And I was like trying to think of, Andrea, what you were saying about the different kindness languages. And I'm like, my love language is gifting. And because it's gifts, I take particular pride in trying to listen to what exactly you want or will need or would like to give that to you. And then when I don't know what I can give to you, I'm like, all right, hopefully this can benefit you, right? But I think my kindness language is, I read a post the other day where it was like this lady needed her batteries for something that she needed, and somebody went across the whole campus looking for them. And now that specific person who went across the campus looking for them now carries batteries in her purse always, just in case she's gonna need those batteries again. Like, to me, that is freaking kindness in like essence. Like, you're so thoughtful. You went the extra mile to make sure that if you needed something, I have it. And you're not gonna have to wait for me to go across the campus to go get it. Like, what? Ah! Sorry, but yes, Joy, exactly what you said. That's what I was like, yeah, if I could get a bobblehead, I'd so do it. I'm like, yes, I agree.
Beautiful.
I think it comes with awareness, because I believe I have a very high vibration. I prayed in my journal every day for years to become the joy I am. And the higher our vibration, the more aware we are to what's happening. I have people that say to me, I cannot believe how much you get done. Well, I have a quiet mind and I do the next right thing that is coming in my awareness to take care of.
You do such a great job with that, Joy. I see that about you.
I'll jump in. Oh, am I?
Unique.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So I'll jump in with mine. And I think it goes along with what Elizabeth was saying with gifting. And I think mine is listening. And it's taking the time to have a conversation with someone, or even just having that silent observation, listening, and understanding some of the things that are important to them and kind of what make them tick, what they like. And then I have although as I get older, I have to admit it's fading, but at one point I had a pretty good retention memory, and can pick nuggets out when I'm having a conversation with someone and say, how is, your son, George, or how is your mom doing with whatever? And people are like, well, gosh, I just said that in passing, like, a year ago or 6 months ago or something. And I'm able to bring that conversation to mind when I'm faced with them again. And it means an awful lot to them, because it shows that you're listening and that you're paying attention and that you're respecting them, and that makes them feel valued. And it's just that authentic connection with people. And then it's also having that, just in passing, oh, I like, I really like dogs, or I really like, whatever it happens to be. And then at the next opportunity, just show a little bit of gratitude is not really the word I'm looking for, but just, whether it's posting something on their wall with a dog, or sending them something in the mail that's a card with something that they like, or just showing a little bit of, kindness that way, that that you're really paying attention. I love doing that for people, just picking up nuggets in conversations and then circulating them back the next opportunity I have with that person.
And I can attest that you're really good at that too, Monique. So thank you for always being there for me. These are beautiful shares.
I love what Monique said, and it's a wonderful way to make people feel valued and heard and understood, accepted. And I'm like Monique, and I like to tell people what I like about them openly, and when they hear that, they get surprised and say, oh, really? And people are quite well, it's hard for most people to accept a compliment. And when I say something positive about someone, they, oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay. And most of them don't even say thank you or anything because they get so shocked. But when I keep doing that, and I notice and point out what they are doing good and what they are good at, they start to appreciate themselves a little bit better. And, ooh, I feel better. I think I'm good. I have some things in me that comes out and comes across as appreciated or liked. So that is a really good way to make people feel good about themselves. I try to do that, and it works every time.
Thank you for sharing, Ipek. Such beautiful shares. I really appreciate you guys. And please check out the links. Did you share your link, Jerry? The video?
I don't have a LinkedIn.
Oh, no. Are you going to share a
Yeah,
link?
I'll do it again. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I may have missed it. But yeah, share. I see many people have shared their contact information. I see Mr. Peter Clark has a kindness post on LinkedIn. Please check that out. Thank you, Elaine, for reminding us of that. Lots of great people here. If you don't follow these people, write their names down. These are amazing folks. Peter introduced me to lots of people that are now speakers. So please follow Peter. He's very inspirational as well. Gosh, we're at the 2 hours already. It always goes by so fast, and this has been incredible as always. I want to thank each and every one of the speakers and each and every one of you for being here. I know it's 2 hours on a Saturday. I'm humbled and I'm honored that you chose to be here with us. And we'll continue to do these the last Saturday of every month. You never know what you're going to get, but for sure you're going to get a room full of hearts and a room full of people that are ready to support you and be kind to you. So looking into all these different kindness languages that we discuss, go out there and show more of it. Try a new kindness language to see how you can inspire someone else. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and see you next time.